Welcome to Your Unapologetic Life, the podcast for the woman who's done crying herself to sleep after the breakup or divorce, and she is ready to figure out what this next chapter is going to look like. You're not trying to get your old life back. You're asking, what do I want? And how do I want to live on my terms? I'm Morgan Barkis, empowerment coach, speaker, and author, and this podcast is your space to rise, reclaim your power, and live unapologetically. Nothing meant for you will ever get away. And the sooner you stop playing games and start being yourself, the sooner you'll find your match. Now, let's talk about some game playing. All right, so a buddy of mine called me. He went on a coffee date this morning, and he wanted to debrief and see what I thought and find out from me what I thought his next move should be. And we ended up talking a little bit about attachment theory too, because that came up for him when this person walked into the coffee shop. He felt some insecurity, and we talked about. He said, "I don't know if you're familiar with attachment theory." I said, "You better believe I am. I already know I'm anxiously attached, always working on being securely attached." If you're not familiar with attachment theory, I would say a great book is The Power of Attachment by Diane Poole Heller. She's a PhD. There's also a book called Attached. I forget the authors. I know my bestie that I went to graduate school with would remember. I'm not remembering. Great book, Attached. Can't remember the authors right now. Anyway, so we started talking about attachment theory as well. And what what I want to mention is not so much about attachment theory, is the game playing. And he and I were talking, and he was like, "So what do you think? Here's what he said. What do you think I should say next, or how should I respond, or do I respond?" And it got me thinking about being authentic. And I said, at this age and the amount of work I've done. So after my breakup over a year and a half ago, I immediately got myself into therapy. I was in the picking up the pieces. Uh, I was in the picking up the pieces stage, and that meant I needed to process what happened, and I needed to figure out how to make different choices when it came to relationships in the future. And even in dating, like, who am I presenting as? Where can I improve on who I choose to get in relationship with based on what I'm looking for in a relationship? My former partner is a wonderful man. We were not the match that we needed for each other. And I've mentioned it before. I read the book, The Midnight Library. As I read that book, there was a story in particular that I just thought, wow, if we stay together, one of us is going to have to give up our dream. And that's not fair to either of us. This isn't going to work. That got me thinking. And then there were other things that happened, and we decided to part ways. So, and we were authentic to each other. So that goes with, while you're in relationship, to be authentic. If it's time to leave a relationship, be authentic to yourself. And then when you start dating again, be authentic to yourself. So anyway, I was telling my friend, when he was asking me, what do you think? What do you think? And what do you think I should say? Should I respond? And I said, if there were no if you were not worried about analyzing or stressing about the what ifs, how would you respond? What is authentic to you? And I said to him, I said, I was chatting with a girlfriend of mine who I went to college with, and she sent me something on the Instagram that I liked so much. I printed it out and put it on my refrigerator. Because after my breakup, yes, I went to the therapy and processed things and worked through my anxious attachment stuff and did a ton of journaling. I read the book Love Life by Matthew Hussey, and I listened to it on audiobook while I would go on walks because I like to absorb information while I'm moving my body. It helps me process information and information to stick in my brain. And so it was the therapy, the journaling, the walking, the listening to Love Life by Matthew Hussey. It was also my friend sending me that thing, that little like paragraph. And I don't know who wrote it. I don't even care. Basically, it said, whatever lights you up, slam your heart into that thing, that person. And whatever is meant for you will stay in your life. And so whenever I'm having an anxious moment or I'm like, ooh, should I have said that thing? Maybe I shouldn't have sent that text. Should I send that text? What would the authentic me do if the outcome had nothing to do with me? If I, because one of the things that when I was dating my ex, he kept a whiteboard in the house and he would write positive messages on it sometimes. And it was kind of in like the living roomish area where you had to pass through to leave the house. And he wrote something on the board one day and it said, someone else's opinion of me is none of my business. Something to that effect. And I loved that because it's sort of the same as that saying, it's quite simple. Nothing that is meant for you will get away. So slam your heart into the things that light you up. And it really is none of your business how anyone else reacts. If you are being authentic to yourself, and when you read someone's message and you have a thought or a feeling, say that thing. Don't spend so much time editing it and wondering about it and overanalyzing it. And, well, if I do send it, what if he thinks this or that or the other thing? Just say the thing. Because the person that is a match for you will get it, will receive it, and then respond. And if he doesn't, it's not a match and it really has nothing to do with you. The unhealed, anxiously attached Morgan would obsess. If you didn't answer a text message, I'd try calling you. If you didn't answer the call, I'd call you 17 times. If you still didn't pick up, I'd probably show up at your house. Like I was a hot mess of not being able to regulate my emotions. My anxiety would go through the roof and I would almost lose my marbles. Thank goodness, like I said, after much work in therapy, having coaches, journaling, reading books, working on myself, processing things, I am much more securely attached than I used to be. I no longer push, persuade, or convince. I slam my heart into the things that light me up, and the right things stay. Your only job is to be yourself. If someone's a match, they're going to stick around. They're going to engage. They're going to like how you interact. If it's not a match, it's not a match. It has nothing to do with you. So if you're out there and you're starting to date, please, please, please do these few things. Respond authentically, not strategically. Say what you actually think or feel when you read the text. 2, stop rehearsing or rewriting. The real self is enough. If you end up seriously dating someone, they're going to meet the real you anyway. So be the real you from the beginning. 3, detach from the outcome. If someone ghosts you, it's not a match. And again, it has nothing to do with you. You are still empowered, beautiful, confident, authentic. It wasn't a match. It's none of your business. Number 4, remember the mantra on my refrigerator. What's meant for you will never go away or get away. If you're anxiously attached, you don't have to keep living in fear of saying the wrong thing. You can shift into authenticity and let love find you. Be you, all of you, because the right person will want exactly that. And if you're ready to stop shrinking and start living authentically, this is exactly what I do in my coaching. You can go to my show notes, book a discovery call. We can talk about my coaching program. I'll help you rebuild your confidence, move through the anxious attachment into secure attachment. It is something that can shift and it'll kind of flow. Things will trigger certain things and you may step back into kind of an anxiously attached behavior, and you can, if you have the skills, you can move from that feeling, that tendency back to a more securely attached characteristic or behavior. You want to sparkle. I always tell people, sparkle on. You know what your sparkle is. Your sparkle means you are being your authentic self. You are taking care of yourself. You are living your life on your terms. And that is what I do in my coaching. I can help you step into dating and interacting with people in a way that feels authentic to you and you're not crazily attached to the outcome. That feels so freeing. At this point in my life, when I'm dating now and I can walk into a situation and go, this doesn't have to be Mr. Right or the one. This person, I'm just here to meet with somebody and learn something interesting about another human being. However, it turns out is none of my business. I'm going to be authentic to myself. That is so freeing. I want you to feel that freedom and that confidence in yourself and that joy in being you and just living how you want and being authentic to yourself and letting people experiencing you that way and attracting the people that are attracted to your authentic self. Thanks for listening to Your Unapologetic Life. If this episode spoke to you, please share it with another woman you care about. Also, follow the show, rate, and review. Are you ready to go deeper? Click the link in the show notes to get instant access to my free video, 5 questions to ask yourself now that you're single again. If you're thinking, I want to hire Morgan as my coach, you can also find the Discovery Call link in the show notes. Let's build this next chapter together.